Welcome back to Sports Nola TV. Ken Trahan with you. I don't know about you, but I'm thirsty, so New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company works for me. Good. Our expert panelists are here today, and first and foremost, it's my pleasure to introduce a guy that played wide receiver here for the Saints from 1991 through 1995. Had a memorable game in Denver, well over 200 yards, just ran free in the secondary all day in that rare air and a rare performance. Torrance Small. Torrance, great to have you with us.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Well, also with us is a gentleman that made a Pro Bowl with the Saints, was a player rep, and he actually survived that. And he was an outstanding player along the offensive line, in particular at guard from 1982 through 1989. Brad Edelman. Brad, great to have you with us.
Jenny, thank you as always.
A pleasure. And then our third panelist, well, he'll basically tell you what he thinks, whether you like it or not. And he does a terrific job of doing that at sportsnola.com. You can hear him on WIST radio as well in the mornings. Brian Allee-Walsh. Brian?
Kenny, thank you. I had the distinct pleasure of covering both these guys. My honor. My honor.
And they survived that. And
absolutely.
Somehow they managed to find a liking to you years later. And I think the paramount point there is years later, right?
Years later, yeah. It took a while.
We always like to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Sure.
Just kidding, obviously. All right, guys, you saw the Saints and the Packers. Very good game. And obviously, Torrance, a lot of high marks, a lot of low marks in this game. Your general thoughts about what you saw?
What I saw, I saw the offense play a great game. Offense play a great game. One thing that I said before this game, that the Saints is going to have to come out and score about 25 points a game, not knowing that they're going to have to score 43 in order to win this game. And defense, I think we need some work on defense. I think we're going to talk about that later. I saw a lot of things on defense that were not students of the game. People weren't in place. We seemed a little lost out there. Some of those points. Special teams, I think it could have went even with special teams. I think Sproles was a great pickup by the Saints by him coming in. He had some big plays for us on the returns and all. We gave up the big return, but other than that, I think the Saints did well. And I think we're going to talk about that coaching point. I think that was I think we got out coached a little bit on that. I give the win to Green Bay on that one.
We'll get to that in just another minute or two or three. Brad, obviously this game was largely about passing yardage. Drew Brees for over 400 yards, 3 scores. Aaron Rodgers, 3 scores. And yet I know you like to watch the battle up front. Did you see the Saints lose this battle on both sides of the ball?
Well, there were a couple of occasions, certainly in short yardage, where we had our difficulties, and I will say we've had our difficulties over the last few years in those crucial short yardage situations. I don't think it's epidemic at this point. I think it's something we can continue to address. I was, as Torrance was impressed with the offense. I think on both sides of the ball, somewhat due to the lack of training camp or the lack of the off-season workouts, and somewhat due to the fact that there are new faces on both sides of the ball. And specifically, you mentioned the offensive line. There's 2 new faces on that offensive line. The center, who's a 14-year veteran, has a great deal of experience, but still needs to learn this program. And I'm not suggesting he hasn't yet, but he's got to gel with both of those guys on his right and left. And then Zach Streif, who's now the new right starting tackle. So regardless of the fact that they've played together before, except for the center, I think it will take, I'm saying, for this team overall, 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks to really find a solid gel with the new players. We have a good mix of experience and youth on this team, and I'm excited about the prospects. This was a good litmus test the first time out against one of the better clubs in the NFL, and we hung in there until the very end. Usually, we have a little, we've had that magic in the past that's been able to take us over the top, but I'm encouraged for many reasons.
Brian, the Packers are an elite offensive football team. We understand that, and yet you have to have some concern about the play of the Saints defensive line in this game, minus Will Smith, about their outside linebackers long term, and about Patrick Robinson and Roman Harper in coverage to a degree. Your thoughts?
Well, the irony here, Kenny, is not lost on me. The Saints offense is in mid-season form, in my opinion. We've got 2 former offensive players here. The problem the Saints have right now as they go into week 2 of the NFL season is their defense. There were concerns in training camp, and I don't think those concerns have been laid yet. It was a bad matchup from the get-go, Kenny, in my opinion. We talked about this. You're talking about an offense that's one of the most prolific in football today in the Green Bay Packers. You're talking about exposing the Saints, putting more defensive backs on the field, a lack of pass rush. They wanted to bring a conventional pass rush during the improve that during the offseason. In my opinion, they didn't do it yet, and they exposed the Saints for what they are right now. By that, I mean a lot of 4 and 5 DBs, a lot of nickel dime packages, which played right into Green Bay's hand as far as I'm concerned. Will it look this way the rest of the season? I don't think so, but I agree with Brad. It was a good gauge on where the Saints stand from a defensive standpoint. Offensive, I think we all understand that they're a very prolific offense themselves. Linebacking core is certainly an area that I just feel like they haven't improved on in the offseason.
A year to prepare, Brian. You go back to the Seattle game.
The Seattle game,
Roman
yeah.
Harper was constantly exposed. They clearly went after him again in this game, having a full offseason to prepare.
Absolutely, and look, I think what is shown in that Seattle game, Kenny, was that they missed Malcolm Jenkins. Okay, they missed him tremendously. He was on the field. Their problem was they just didn't get enough consistent pass rush with a conventional four-man rush. They had to bring extra people, and when they do that, you're rolling the dice against Aaron Rodgers and his offense.
Brad, there's no question the Saints need to achieve some level of balance offensively. And a lot of people will say, well, look at the imbalance in that first game pass to rush. But given the circumstances, considering the fact that the Saints were behind from the get-go, it's really not a fair analysis in this game. There's no way they could achieve balance, but ultimately they need to, don't they?
Absolutely they need to. And I think one of the key plays of the game was that fumble in the first drive. This is unfortunate. We all are very fond of Colston, but you lose the ball in that first drive. You lose the momentum when it seemed likely that the Saints could roll down the field and score, tie that game up. Now you end up 14-0 early in the game, and that changes your game plan. You're playing from being behind as opposed to being in a dominant position. So consistency is certainly going to be the key on this offense going forward. Now with the loss to Colston, we'll see what they do and bringing, it's been considered that Randy Moss will be in here, but they're going to have to fill that void somehow. I still think this could be a juggernaut offense, but we're going to have to stay healthy, and again, I think it's going to take a little time to gel.
Torrance, as you look at that fumble by Colston as a wide receiver, it doesn't appear that there's much he can do there. That's just a good defensive play where the tackler hits the football with his helmet and his pad to knock it loose. That's not a chance really to secure the ball. As a wide receiver, talk about that and how difficult it is in that kind of circumstance, especially when you're coming inside into the defender.
Well, regardless of, he had opportunity to put the ball away. You have to put the ball away. You know you're going to have contact. However you put it away, high and tight, however you like to hold it. Some people like to hold the ball different ways. But you have to put the ball away. You can't afford to have any turnovers, especially against a team like the Green Bay Packers, who did capitalize on it. And I think that is the telltale of the game. If you look at 3 things that coaches always talk about, I played on 5 different teams, and these 3 things were always stressed: turnovers, penalties, and third down conversions. And if you look at it, Green Bay won it slightly, and on third down, they won it in turnover. The Saints got the penalties. They had less yards and penalties than Green Bay, but those 3 things really dictate where the outcome of the game is going to be. And as we see, that turnover hurt them.
Brian, in the Super Bowl season, the Saints, I believe, were a plus 11 in the turnover margin, and I believe that's the only year under Sean Payton that they've actually had a plus side of the turnover ledger. Obviously, that's a huge factor.
Yeah, and you can't afford. In the 09 season, Kenny, it was interesting to watch because they played with a lot of big leads. And when you do that, you turn that opposing offense into a one-dimensional unit. Mm-hmm. And so you can gamble, and Greg Williams is a riverboat gambler. He'll bring people, that's his strength. He'll bring them from different angles and stuff like that. But when you fall behind, you have to become, you can become as a little more reckless, but you have to also be safe, and you also have to be consistent in what you do. And when they fumbled that ball away and Green Bay went in and cashed in right away, that's the worst thing that could have happened to this team. Because Green Bay is an elite team. There's a reason why they're the defending Super Bowl champion. On their turf, you give them that kind of turnover, and it's lights out.
3 phases to the game. Special teams also very important. The Saints scored on special teams, but they also gave up a 108-yard touchdown return on a kickoff, which was really costly in the long run. Tackling not very good on that particular play as well. And obviously, if you're going to beat a team on the road that's favored to beat you, and a quality team like the defending Super Bowl champions, you have to be solid in all 3 phases. It's Sports Nola TV. Ken Trahan, Brian Allee-Walsh, Torrance Small, Brad Edelman with you. We'll take a time out here. When we return, we'll take a trip around the NFL and tell you why the Saints aren't in bad shape in the NFC through 1 week of the NFL season when Sports Nola TV continues.